Hello everyone, today we're having a look at two brand new 4D settings from WizKids War Machines. We are looking at the Battering Ram and the Catapult. These are pretty much brand new releases for the UK, maybe a couple of months ago for the US and such, but let's have a look and see if they are any good. So let's start off with the Battering Ram. Well, this is a pretty cool set that I think you're going to get some use out of. You can easily have this in a siege location and it really does add that weight to the battlefield. You can give your sort of party, the adventurers, a few different quests surrounding a battering ram. Maybe you are sort of helping them defend the battering ram as some NPCs push it towards wherever you're sieging. Or, maybe you need to stop whoever it is from getting this to their location, be that chopping some trees down on the route to somewhere, or, actually getting down up close and personal and stopping the door being sort of bashed down. Now, talking of bashing things down, the sort of central beam of the actual battering ram does sort of slightly swing because it's sort of hooked on, and that's kind of a nice touch. It's not really needed, but I do like the fact that you can change the heads. So there's three different ram heads. You've got like a bronzed ram head. You've then got a skull and then a dragon's head. Now, I was a little worried when I first looked at this box well, you pick the one you really want, you put it on, and then that's kind of done, and the other two just stay in the box. But I think certainly with the dragon skull, that could easily be used as some sort of dungeon scatter terrain. You could put that in a corner of a dungeon, and it would look very much at home there. So with that, the war horn and the drums, you could definitely use those elsewhere. You've also got a miniature in this set. It doesn't come with a black base. It's just got a sort of a little thing. It's like a bit of plastic skateboard it stands on. There's no clear or black base to go underneath that. But despite sort of waving this big whirly flag, it actually stands up. I know some of the other ones don't. Maybe that's just lucky for me, because some sets, different people say things fall over and whatever. But for me, despite the flag sort of maybe being top heavy on the Mini, it stood up absolutely fine. I really like the design here because the wood, while the wood texture is really nice on the battering ram, I think having it all over as wood would have been a really sort of monotone one color, and the texture could have got a bit boring. They've sort of got cloth, like pelts, animal pelts laid over the top for a different texture and color, and there's also a lot of metal trimmings as well. So I've done a really good job of making it sort of look sort of the decent chunkiness and actually look pretty nice and awesome on the table. So all in all, really nice battering ram. You'll use it if you have a siege, as you will with the next war machine, which is a catapult. Potentially even less of a use than, well, about the same, to be honest. If you're having a siege, you might have a catapult. Otherwise, when we ever see it, I don't know. If you're walking around a castle, maybe it's tucked up somewhere. That's about it, really. You've got a couple of nice things in here, though. You've got sort of the engineer guy that's stood behind it. Now, interestingly, it is the same engineer that I think was in the Trebuchet set, so check that review out. But it's painted differently. So it's the same sculpt for the Mini, but it does look different. So I'm glad they've tried to sort of at least, even though they've reused an asset effectively, they've painted it differently. So I'm really glad about that. You can have them stood next to each other and it's not going to look stupid, or that there's lots of twins everywhere. In terms of the catapult, the arm moves, so it can't like stay in like a launched position. It will fall back down. That does mean, however, via the little switch on the side, you can put one of the single shots in and just about flick it, which is completely gimmicky, but it's fun when you open the box, and you'll probably never ever use that sort of aspect of it again, but that moves. The wheels of the Catapult don't, so it's not like if you push it along, the wheels will turn. That's the only moving bit on the Catapult, at least, because there are two oil pots. What are they called? They're oil pots and then two oil frames. Well, actually, they're kind of one thing. It's an oil pot with a frame rather than it's listed on the back almost as they're separate things. That sort of rotates vertically, and you could easily see those, you know, ready to light a shot on fire. Or you could also sort of see that just in a random dungeon or a castle room. Yeah, I could easily see that sort of used elsewhere. Overall, though, there is one thing that I would love to point out. I don't know if you can see from here. You probably see from the images that I've shown. There is no sort of, and I'm always going to butcher the name. I think it's like Seldrafries or something like that. It's the wooden thing that's spiky, that's on the back of the box. It's on the side of the box, and yet it's not included in the set. It's almost false advertising. There's a clear panel on the front. That's the only saving grace. You can look in and see that this is not in the set. It doesn't make the contents list on the back. It obviously isn't in the set from looking in, but WizKids need to get better. You cannot have something shown on the packaging like this that's not in the box. I love catapults. It's probably, let's be honest, you think of like a catapult or a trebuchet when you think of siege weapons. You cannot do that. You cannot have something that's not included on the side of the box as if it is included. Now, to be fair to them, there is a single shot and a second oil pot. In the picture, it looks like there's only one, and then there's the wooden spiky thing. But it really leaves a bad taste in my mouth that they've done that on the packaging. It's like, come on, this is a final bit of release. It's not like a prototype box or anything. But two very nice items. If you're going to be running a sort of a castle siege or something, these will be fantastic on the table. Limited use outside of sieges. Some of the scatter terrain certainly can be, you know, if you just want to throw them in dungeons and stuff. But, you know, otherwise it's just going to be for those really sort of infrequent times where you just want to add that splash of wow to the table when you're having a siege. They will make your siege look like an actual siege rather than sort of not one. Anyway, check out other news, reviews and everything on the channel. Until then, I'm Oliver East, signing out.